teşekkür ediyoruz. Efendim, son oturumlara yaklaşıyoruz. Şimdi sahneye Meksika mutfağını bilimin, araştırmanın ve yaratıcılığın ışığında yeniden yorumlayan çağdaş gastronominin en ilham verici genç isimlerinden birini davet edeceğim. Michelin yıldızlı KOL restoran kurucusu ve şefi çok sevgili Santiago Lastra bizlerle birlikte olacak. Yüksek alkışlarınıza lütfen. Welcome chef. Stage is yours.
Thank you. Hello. Hello everyone. So, well, do you have to change sorry. Thank you. All right. So, I want to talk today about personal experience on how to move somewhere else, you know? So when I moved out of Mexico, I felt that I succeed, you know? Like I think when you're Mexican and you are able to move somewhere else and work somewhere else, you feel that you made it. And then over the years, I learned more and more how important actually was my heritage and being from Mexico. And how being from Mexico was not only something that will define me, but also a responsibility, but also like a superpower, like a tool, you know? And then everyone will ask me, Santiago, make some Mexican food for us. And I will refuse because I couldn't find ingredients. So every time that people ask me to make Mexican food, I will say no. And it was because I thought that Mexican food was really just restricted on those ingredients that you couldn't find in Spain or in France or in Taiwan or different places around the world that I live. But then the years passed by, and I actually moved to Copenhagen in Denmark. And the new Nordic cuisine was all about inspiration from around the world using local ingredients. So making misos with peas and garums with the local herring, which was really interesting for me and inspired me to start and develop a style of food that will be using local ingredients with Mexican concepts. And that helped me a lot. Like it really helped me a lot and opened the doors to travel around the world. And I have the opportunity to cook around 27 countries around the world, making Mexican food with local ingredients. And it was really interesting, but I only touched the surface. So I didn't really understand what Mexican flavor was, but I understood what Mexican concepts were. And then now I've been a chef for 20 years. I've been living out of Mexico for about 17 years. And I've been living in London for 8 years. So this is my restaurant. The name is KOL'un in London. And what we do is to use local British wild ingredients to translate what Mexico is. And taking inspiration from Mexican flavors and Mexican food through the lens, or if you call it raw material, of Britain and wild British ingredients. And then the question is, we got these awards. We are in a different lists. We have Michelin-starred. We got a lot of recognition. And then after we've been open for 5 years. And in the last 5 years, there's more than 100 restaurants with high-profile chefs open in London. And one of the most amazing things as well is that I been meeting people around the world that open restaurants, Mexican restaurants, inspired in our concept. But then the question is, how do you introduce the culture? How can you move somewhere else and open a restaurant that makes sense using your heritage? And the way that you do it is by understanding flavor. So then the question is, what is Mexican flavor? How Mexico tastes? And Mexican food is very popular around the world nowadays, and it's getting more and more popular because it's designed to give you pleasure. When you eat a taco, you feel pleasure. And that is what everyone, that is how Mexican food is created. Like, how can I curate something that tastes delicious? So it's sour, it's sweet, it's alkaline, it has spice to it, it has fat, and it's a little bit smoky. So then the idea is, how can we take these different dishes in Mexican food and treat them like a glass of wine? So imagine you have a glass of wine and you smell it, and it's like, well, it tastes like roses, or like strawberries, or it has notes of wood or oak. And that goes all in the nose and when you try it. So then what I did at the beginning was to focus on Mexican food, on like taking it apart as notes, So then you understand that, okay, so what is sweet in Mexican food? Yeah, like fruits. You can get sweetness around the world with honey, with roasted vegetables. What can you get around the world that is sour? Okay, well, in Mexico we use citrus, but then around the world maybe we can use vinegar or fermentation or unripe fruits. And the same goes with fat and spicy food. Maybe if you're in Sweden, spicy food can come from horseradish or mustard in the UK. So then different things can give you different types of spice around the world. So then we take ingredients as an example. So imagine plantain. So the plantain, when it's raw, it has a white color. When it's cooked, it has a yellow color. And then when it's raw, it has a starchy texture. And when it's cooked, it's floral. So then the question is, how can we get something in Britain that tastes or looks or feels like a plantain? So then what we get is parsnips. So then when you cook the parsnips, they get a little bit more yellow when they're cooked as sweet. And also, because they don't have the floral notes that the plantain will have, we add an oxidase syrup. So then the oxidase will give flavors of floral notes that the fruits normally have. So we work with a lot of flowers. Oxidase has a banana flavor. And then this is the comparison between the plantain and the parsnips. So we do that the same with pineapple and celeriac. The celeriac is a very kind of fibrous root. And then if you cook the celeriac in pineapple weed syrup, the pineapple weed is a type of chamomile that grows in Scotland that tastes like pineapple. So then we add that note to the celeriac to get flavors and texture of pineapple. So then when you grill it, you get the same texture and flavor, or similar. Grapefruit with rhubarb. There are different types of pine that will give you aromas of lemon and lime and grapefruit. So this one is a particular type of pine that is called Douglas fir pine. And the Douglas fir pine, if you mix it with the rhubarb, it gives you flavors and colors of grapefruit. And then we do that with the mango as well, depending on each season, we could use turnips or we could use butternut squash. And then everything came from a very, very simple thought of saying, okay, what is orange in the winter? Or what is yellow in the winter? And then, because if you think about a mango, the mango is yellow and it's sweet, and it has these floral notes, and it has a little bit of acidity, and it's creamy. So then what you have to think is what has these characteristics in the winter in Britain, or what could have those characteristics? So then you can start with, okay, what is yellow? Right, well, you can get a butternut squash that is yellow, and then cook it, add elderflowers to it, and then make a mixture with raw and cooked butternut squash. That will give you that flavor of mango. This one is an example that we did with the turnip. So it depends on each season. We add those flavors to the ingredients. With the coconut, we changed it for squid that is cooked in gorse flowers. Gorse flowers are flowers that taste like and smell like coconut that grow in the beach in the UK. So if you haven't, if what we do is to make an oil with gorse, and we confit the cuttlefish or the squid with it, and then the combination of that and cob nuts, that is a type of nuts also from England, will give you this flavor of coconut. And then we wanted to move a little bit more forward, just take a step forward into this and just get a bit more knowledge, or scientific knowledge of that, because before it was very empirical, and then we wanted to do a little bit more in detail on understanding why, you know. So then you realize that there is flavor chemistry, and there are things that smell like things, right? So then, for example, you have lactones, limonene, eugenol. Like lactones will give you these creamy and nutty flavors, like the coconut, for example. Like grapefruit will have limonene, that is present in a lot of citrus. Plantain will have eugenol, that has this fruity, creamy taste. Pineapple, we have mysterin. Avocado, we have hexanal, that is just this green, fresh, grassy notes. And mango will have linalool, that are like very floral notes. Which is very interesting when you think about it, because the more that you research which compounds are in the ingredients, the more that you find similarities, you know? And at the end of the day, the spectrum of flavors that we actually eat and consume are not as wide as we think. And a lot of things, they cross-link on flavors. And that is the reason why you can find so many notes in the glass of wine, because at the end of the day, it's still wine. But yes, you can find different notes depending on the processes. So what we want to do is, if you think about it, then, okay, so what it has lactones? The gorse flowers. So then now we can move into making a research of ingredients based on the flavor chemistry, instead of just empirically tasting things in the woods, you know. So as I said, the different types of pine have limonene like citrus. Oxidaceae will have these fruity, creamy notes. And interesting thing is that the avocado has the hexanal like hemp and gooseberries. But the interesting thing is that a guacamole ticks pretty much all the boxes. So a guacamole is citrus, it's nutty and creamy. It's tropical, and it's floral, and it's green and fresh and grassy, which is a very interesting thing, because if you think about Mexican food, there is a lot of preparations that have a combination of some of the most important and iconic flavor compounds that you can smell. And the question is, well, like, it's just about fusion and adaptation, and how can you, what's the difference, right? So all around the world, people think about Mexican food like to be like this Tex-Mex food of burritos and like frozen guacamole and frozen tortillas and things that are not made from scratch. And I think it's because it's been limited in what you can get and what is available to you around the world. And also, Tex-Mex is something that started with Americans bringing different concepts around the world. Being Tex-Mex one of them, where ingredients. If you think about Mexican ingredients, there is so many. You know, from tiny wild plantains and wild cacao fruits to flowers that taste like ginger, to insects, tropical fruits, like 10, 15 different types of avocados, hundreds of different types of chilies. So the Mexican ingredients are very vast. But then the interesting thing is that depending where you are in Mexico, the food changes. Because the food of Mexico doesn't necessarily, spending time over there and with indigenous communities and restaurants and learning from different people, you understand that Mexican food is not directly related with ingredients. It's actually a way of putting things together, putting flavors together. And and if you make your own flavors based on your heritage, understanding flavor chemistry, you can have framework and tools and a palette to paint freely, if that makes sense. So these ones are some of the translation of flavors that we use in the restaurant, and we have a very, very extended list of fruits, citrus, and all these things that you normally will not be able to have or grow in the UK. And then we just cook with them, And then I think that comes to to my new kind of dream in a way, that is, what if we could make new traditions? Because traditions were innovation in some point. Like someone made a kebab for the first time. Someone made a taco for the first time. Someone made this tripe roll that you grill here for the first time. So the question is, how can you come up with something like that? Sometimes it takes years, or sometimes it takes generations. But the most important thing is that we create with having our heritage in consideration, but also with all the tools that technology can give you in 2025. So if you understand chemistry and you understand your story and your heritage, you could probably come out with stuff like this. Like this is some of the dishes that we do in the restaurant. But also, I wanna show you something. Also I think you can do your own, because people were we've been a very globalized world, and we are separated by traditions as well, but we're also limited by them. So then, if you can understand your flavor, then you can go somewhere and create something new. But also, you can create something new where you are if you understand your own way of cooking, So then I think the question is, try to understand how the people in the markets think, how the indigenous people will think, and the reason why they will create a dish, that is sustainable, that is accessible, that is delicious, and it's nutritious, And think about the best dishes of traditional dishes in the world. They are made for feeding people, but they are also creative. And I think feeding and creativity, they shouldn't be apart. I think they should be together, but they shouldn't stop. And our generation has the power and the possibility to create something new, So yeah, thank you so much. Thank you. Thank you. Oh, thank you. Should we take a picture? Come with me.